Ba-ba-ba-ba. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. All right. What's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary, where I'm at right now. It's about 3:10 p.m., and it's Saturday, December 28th. Feels like 2025 is right around the corner, literally about 3 days away. Looking forward to the years, and I wish you all a happy New Year's. Shout out to my guy, Avery Adams, for being in the chat as well. And let's get to it, because today we got a lot to talk about. Now, I'm going to wait for some more people to pile into the chat before I talk about Elon Musk and everything that's happening there, because that's a very, very interesting and funny story. But I first want to talk about, of course, my great state of Louisiana and what fuckery we're up to now. Louisiana often holds inmates past their release date, the Department of Justice lawsuit claims. Now, you know you really got to fuck up when you have the Department of Justice suing you for breaking the rules of justice. This is so Louisiana. I love this story. I'm very interested to find out what's happening. I did not read this ahead of time, but let's get into it. So this was published on Monday, December 23rd, 2024 by the Associated Press, and it's a very short text, so let's get into it. Louisiana's prison system routinely holds people weeks and months after they have completed their sentences. Let's repeat that. Louisiana's prison system routinely holds people weeks and months after they have completed their sentences, the U.S. Department of Justice alleged in a lawsuit filed Friday. The suit against the state of Louisiana follows a multi-year investigation into what federal officials say is a pattern of systemic over-detention that violates inmates' rights and costs taxpayers millions of dollars a year. I want everybody to look at what Republican governments look like. Republican governments look like Louisiana. They look like Mississippi. They look like Tennessee. They look like Georgia, where they basically keep the niggas in chains. Put the niggas back in chains. If they're free, hold them still in jail. Guess what? Because you know what? We're following the Constitution. What does the Constitution say? You can still be a slave as long as you're convicted of a crime in the great country of the United States of America. I'll continue here. The Justice Department, or the DOJ, alleges that since at least 2012, more than a quarter of the people due to be released from Louisiana prisons have instead been held past their release dates. It warned Louisiana officials last year that the state could face a lawsuit if it didn't fix the problems. But lawyers for the department say that the state's marginal efforts to address the issues were inadequate and showed a deliberate indifference to the constitutional rights of incarcerated individuals. I want everybody to remember, Louisiana has the most people per capita locked up in the country. And more than a quarter, 25% of the people who are supposed to be free, imagine you do a 10-year bid, 5-year bid, you do a 2-year jose, whatever, and Louisiana says, nah, nigga, you staying in jail. Now, if for anybody that says that they defend the Constitution, that, you know, America's a free country, that everybody has rights, if you do the crime, you do the time, how is this fair? How is this fair in the freest, most equal country in the world? Continuing here. It says, quote unquote, the right to individual liberty includes the right to be released from incarceration on time after the term set by the court has ended. Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark said in a statement announcing the suit. To incarcerate people indefinitely not only intrudes on individual liberty, but also erodes public confidence in the fair and just application of our laws. In a joint statement provided by the Associated Press, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry and State Attorney General Liz Murrow blamed the problem on the failed criminal justice reforms advanced by the past administration. This past year, we have taken significant action to keep Louisianians safe and ensure those who commit the crime also do the time, the statement reads. The state of Louisiana is committed to preserving the constitutional rights of Louisiana citizens. Unless you're locked up, then they'll keep you in jail for as long as they want. For as long as they want in Louisiana. This is Republican government. This is right-wing fascism. This is what made Simon Hill Keeps It Trill. The Republican state officials also characterized the effort as a last-ditch lawsuit by outgoing President Joe Biden, reasoning that the incoming administration of Donald Trump would not have allowed the case to be filed. Of course, because Louisiana overwhelmingly went for Donald Trump multiple times. We always seem to vote for the worst people. We voted for, who was that racist that was running in the 1960s, who was saying segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever? Louisiana voted for that guy for president. Louisiana is the state that brought us David Duke. Louisiana still have Klan rallies. Come on now. Of course, Donald Trump, as soon as he gets in office, is going to make sure the Department of Justice drops this lawsuit against the state of Louisiana for locking up people past the time they're supposed to be free. Of course, of course. Anyway, advocates have repeatedly challenged the condition of Louisiana's prison system, which includes the country's largest maximum security prison, known as Angola, where incarcerated individuals toil under the blazing sun, picking vegetables by hand at what once was a slave plantation. This is 2024, and we still got niggas working on slave plantations in Louisiana. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. This is fascism. This is right-wing government. This is Republican MAGA dreamland. Louisiana. If you love MAGA, if you love Republican governments, come to Louisiana. Come to Louisiana. Anyway, let's go here to our buddy Elon Musk and the fuckery he's gotten himself into. Now, I've said this multiple times. We need to send this motherfucker back to Africa. We need to send this motherfucker back to Africa. Nobody needs to go back to Africa more than Elon Musk. And let's see what bullshit he's gotten himself into. So, a civil war on X between Musk and the far right over H-1B visas. The online rift over the H-1B skilled worker visa program signifies a potential wedge between Trump's core base and his new Silicon Valley supporters. Now, I find this story infinitely interesting, entertaining, funny, and hilarious. The birds are coming to eat their face. But I just want to summarize the story very quickly with this awesome tweet from Autism Capital right here, because this tweet summarizes it so funnily and so well that I think it will do justice more than this Washington Post article we're about to read. Anyway, so basically, the right split into two factions, says Autism Capital. Tech right and the right. I would say the racist right. And the tech right is like, hey, we need H-1B visa people to do the jobs. And the right, or the racist right, was like, no, you need to hire Americans. And the tech right is like, but you guys are retarded. And the right says, well, you need to train us more. And the tech right says, well, you can't out-train retarded. And in the middle of the process, we found out that a lot of people really have some bad views about Indians. I thought that tweet is hilarious. You can go find it. Autism Capital, go follow him and check that tweet out. Anyway, though, let's read the story about what's happening in MAGA land and how they're killing themselves, fighting each other. So, far-right activists clashed online with billionaire Elon Musk and other supporters of President-elect Donald Trump over the need for a skilled worker immigration program that has long been a lifeblood in Silicon Valley, signifying a potential rift between Trump's core nationalist-based and technology executives who have come to support him. The fight that spilled into public view over the holiday week could preview a wedge within Trump's coalition over how to execute immigration policy, an issue that animated Trump's White House campaign. The controversy spread across X after far-right activist Laura Loomer on Monday criticized Trump's choice to name Sriram Krishnan, a technology entrepreneur who was born in India, as his senior policy advisor on artificial intelligence. She pointed to Krishnan's previous support for removing some caps on green cards and easing the ability of skilled foreign workers to come to the United States. The policy is in direct opposition to Trump's agenda, Loomer wrote. The critique sparked a broader debate about immigration in the tech industry, which relies heavily on a visa program that allows foreigners with technical skills to work in the United States for up to 6 years under H-1B non-immigrant status. All right, Somaya Gayomber says hello. Shout out to Soma out there. And anyway, continuing here. So it ran headlong into tension with some of Trump's closest advisors, notably Tesla and SpaceX CEO Musk, David Sachs, who will be the president-elect's AI and crypto czar, and Vivek Ramaswamy, who will co-lead a commission to cut government spending. Ramaswamy argued American culture doesn't produce enough skilled workers to fuel cutting-edge companies. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent, he wrote on X. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. So basically what Ramaswamy is saying here is like, listen, most Americans are too stupid. They're not talented enough. They're not educated enough to actually form the tech companies of tomorrow that will keep America competitive. And let's keep it absolutely real. He's partially right. Now, Americans are smart people, generally, right? We're not naturally more stupid than other people, despite what I've said. I'm not saying that Americans are stupid, and I actually disagree with Ramaswamy here. But this has been America's policy since we've had basically open borders for most of our history as a nation, and what we've had since we started having more stricter immigration laws at the beginning of the 20th century. Basically, America was fueled by brain-draining foreign countries. We basically got the doctors, the lawyers, the engineers. We got Nazi scientists after World War II. You get what I'm saying? We get the smartest people from around the world to come work in our country, and we pay them exorbitant wages. And this works twofold. It allows us to be more competitive and allows other countries to be less competitive against us because we get their smartest people to come to us. Right? I mean, let's keep it real. America would be not as successful, not as rich, not as thriving if it weren't for basically America's immigration policy. We steal the doctors from Nigeria. We stole the scientists from Germany. We steal the next tech entrepreneur from India. We take them from their nations and put them in ours. And you know what? That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. And yeah, Avery says partially correct. Anyway, I'm going to continue here. So, the online fight sparked a slew of racist posts from Laura Loomer and allegations of censorship. She said her X account lost its verified status and premium subscribers because Musk, who owns the platform, was retaliating against her. A screenshot purporting to show that Loomer's X account had been flagged for violating rules against posting other people's private information bounced around the social network. The Washington Post could not independently verify the authenticity of the post. So much for free speech, she said in an X post on Friday. Quite totalitarian, if you ask me. Now, from my understanding, Luma is a crazy Karen. I remember there was a video of her like handcuffing herself to some door of some like tech event and like demanding people like pay attention and listen to her and stuff like that. The police had to call. Like, she's a crazy Karen. There's rumors that Laura Loomer gave Donald Trump a blowjob because that's how much she wants to be in the MAGA circle. And it's crazy that now she has the ear of the president and maybe his cock and balls in her mouth. So Laura Loomer is a crazy woman. And the fact that Laura Loomer is actually seeming like the sane person in this conversation with Vivek Ramaswamy shows me how far MAGA has gone. I'm going to continue here. Notable Republicans, including former GOP presidential candidate Nikki Haley, another Indian, by the way, championed Loomer's position. If the tech industry needs workers, invest in our education system. Now, this is gold coming from Nikki Haley, who is the governor of South Carolina, which has one of the worst education systems in the country. And now these are the same Republicans who are talking about defunding the Department of Education, which gives federal funding to local public schools. So you're saying on one hand, the tech industry needs American workers, so fund education, but you're denying the money that generally comes from the federal government. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I swear, MAGA is ass backward land. MAGA is ass backward land. Literally. I'll never forget in Louisiana when the Obama administration was giving out free money to fund healthcare through the Affordable Care Act. And Louisiana said, no, we won't take your free money. We'd rather let Louisianians die than take federal money to fund free healthcare in our state. Of course, because this is MAGA world, baby, in the deep South. Anyway, Haley said in a post on X on Friday, invest in our American workforce. We must invest in Americans before looking elsewhere. Well, take your Indian ass back home, Nikki Haley. Send Nikki Haley back home. Send that musty Punjabi pussy bitch back to India. Anyway, tech executives, including Musk, have said they would prefer to hire American workers because obtaining visas for foreign workers can be time-consuming and costly. But Musk, who once held an H-1B visa and has relied on the program to employ thousands of Tesla employees, said recruiting foreign workers is a crucial way technology companies obtain the best engineering talent to compete globally. Now, I believe Elon Musk when he says this. It's partially true when he says, okay, we need the best engineering talent and the tech people out there. And I do. India, of course, has a lot of talented people. So does China, and so does every other country as well. But we also have to remember with the H-1B visa, they're basically holding these people like indentured servants. Like if you have an H-1B visa, you are bound to that employer. And that employer can basically, pay you whatever they want. And of course, they're going to pay you at a depressed wage compared to other Americans who have more options in mobility in their careers. So the H-1B visa does allow America to seek talent, but yes, it does sort of depress wages and lock out Americans from opportunity as well. But what do the Republicans say all the time? What do MAGA people all the time? If you don't like your situation, you gotta what? You gotta what? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So all these basically America First people who are complaining the Indians are getting their jobs, the Chinese are taking their jobs. Where are your bootstraps, bitch? Where are your bootstraps? Pull yourself fucking up. Stop fucking complaining. Ain't that what you tell niggas all the time? Stop fucking complaining. You bitch-ass MAGA people and right-wing nuts online bitching and complaining all day from your mama's basement that the Indians are taking the jobs. Meanwhile, your ass don't want to study. You want to be a neat on 4chan all day. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, continuing here. The number of people who are super talented engineers and super motivated in the U.S. is far too low. Elon Musk on X said on Twitter. Elon Musk wrote on Twitter on Christmas, if you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be. The online feud reflects the challenges that Trump will have holding together the delicate political coalition that delivered him the White House, which included unprecedented levels of financial support from Musk and other Silicon Valley billionaires. So Trump is in a very interesting position. He aligned himself with all these MAGA chuds in the middle of West Virginia who feel like the Indians and the Chinese are taking their jobs. He has those motherfuckers on his right. And then he's got the tech billionaires in Silicon Valley on his left who are saying basically the Americans are too fucking stupid to build the next Uber. The Americans are too fucking stupid to develop the next, I don't know, Grubhub app, whatever. So he has these two people on his left and his right, and he has to do a delicate balancing act. And you know what Trump is going to do? In my opinion, I imagine that Trump is going to end up jettisoning Vivek Ramaswamy. He can easily just jettison him because he has to keep the right-wing racist MAGA base happy. He's still going to do the same things, but he has to feed him to the wolves. So he's going to end up feeding Elon Musk to the wolves, feeding the South African who needs to go back to Africa, back to the wolves. He's going to feed the brown Punjabi curry-smelling motherfucker named Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley and all the other Indians who are invading the Republican Party. He's going to feed them to the wolves. He's going to let the racist white folks tear them to shreds online and kick them out of his orbit. That's what I imagine Trump is going to do. All right? Continuing here. So it's a sign of future conflicts, said Samuel Hammond, a senior economist at the Foundation for American Innovation. This is like the pregame. Krishnan declined to comment. Loomer and a representative for the Trump transition team did not respond to requests for comment. Trump traveled with Loomer during the campaign, but amid criticism of her previous statements, he said in September, he doesn't control her. Trump has sought to position himself as a champion for legal immigration, even though he slashed pathways for immigrants during his first term. Trump has offered a few specifics about how he will address skilled immigration in the tech industry during his second term. On a June episode of the All In podcast, which is co-hosted by Sachs, Trump said he would automatically give a green card to every international student with a college diploma. Now, for all my MAGA people in the chat, this is what your God said. This is what your blonde-haired, blue-eyed bimbo God said. Anybody who graduates from college gets a green card. Now, tell me how that helps the American worker. Tell me how that's helping make America great again. Tell me how this is advancing, building the wall and doing the mass deportation, the biggest deportations you've ever seen. Where is that involved in that? Giving green cards to every Chinese student with a rich daddy, every Russian billionaire son with who's going to Dartmouth is getting a green card. Is that what y'all want? Is that making America great again? Are you tired of winning? Are you tired of winning yet? Anyway, if you graduate or you get a doctorate degree from a college, you should be able to stay in this country, Trump said. Ahead of the first Trump administration, many tech CEOs sought to build bridges with the president-elect during the transition with a meeting at his New York Trump Tower. But those delicate relationships broke down when Trump almost immediately rolled out what critics and federal judges have branded a Muslim ban, which prohibited U.S. entry by the citizens of several majority Muslim countries. The episode amounted to a shockwave in the industry where many founders and workers are immigrants, Hammond said. Immigration is an economically important issue for tech, but also in many cases a personal one, he said. They all understand the ineffective inefficiencies, and the bureaucracy around the U.S. immigration system and the Kafkaesque nightmare it can throw you in. But this time, the tech industry is far from directly intertwined in Trump's transition. Self-described first buddy, Musk has spent much of the time since Election Day by the president-elect's side, and Trump has tapped many Silicon Valley investors and executives to serve in prominent roles within his administration. As Silicon Valley companies compete to create artificial intelligence products, the need for foreign-born talent has intensified. 28 of the top 43 AI companies in the United States were co-founded by immigrants. Let's repeat, 28 of the top 43 AI companies in the United States were co-founded by immigrants, and 70% of full-time graduate students in AI-related fields are international students, according to a 2023 analysis from the National Foundation for American Policy. So where are all the smart, the white men like to say all the time, they got the high IQs. I'm high IQ. White people, by and large, per capita, have higher IQs. How come they're getting outrun by the musty Indians? The high IQ whites are outrun by the musty Indians. Why? Is it because they're all high on meth? Is it because they're all coked out of their mind? Is it because they're gooning on Pornhub 24 hours a day? What is it? Where are the high IQ whites? Where are the high IQ whites? Because all I see are the Indians running the whole show. The Indians running the whole show. Chinese doing laps around y'all. The high IQ whites. Ain't this a goddamn shame? Ain't this a goddamn shame? Anyway, continuing here. As Trump previews a hardline immigration policy, including militarized mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, many in the tech industry are pushing him to expand legal immigration for highly skilled workers. Some argue the shift is necessary for the United States to remain competitive with China. Skilled immigration emerged as one of the top flashpoints between Trump and Silicon Valley during his first presidency. Although Trump at times acknowledged the need for American companies to recruit top talent, his administration limited the H-1B programs. The Nazi Stephen Miller, who helped craft some immigration policies during the first Trump administration, is returning to the White House as Trump's deputy chief of staff for policy and homeland security advisor. The online debate reverberated among Washington lawmakers who have long pursued ways to improve the H-1B program. Representative Ro Khanna, a Democrat who's also an Indian who represents Silicon Valley, defended Krishnan and said he supported reforming the H-1B program. We should celebrate that immigrants like Elon Musk, Jensen Huang, and Shriram Krishnan choose to come to the United States, he told the Post. This has fueled our economic and technology preeminence. I am glad Shriram is being appointed. The restrictions of H-1B visas during Trump's first term faced fierce opposition from major tech companies. During the pandemic, Trump temporarily froze H-1B visas in a move the administration said would help Americans experiencing job loss. That same year, the Trump administration also introduced new rules tightening eligibility for H-1B visas and requiring companies to offer higher salaries to people on the visas. A federal judge later rejected some of the rules, including the salary provision. During President Joe Biden's final weeks in office, his administration has introduced rules to modernize the H-1B program by making it easier for international students to obtain visas and improving the efficiency of the application process. These reforms target systematic misuse by IT consulting firms while acknowledging the program's demonstrated net positive impact on U.S. technological competitiveness, said Divyanish Kaushik, a vice president at Beacon Global Strategies, who I imagine is an Indian with that name. Divansh Kaushik. Sounds like a dish that would definitely put you on the toilet. Technology companies are particularly reliant on H-1B visas, which are capped at 85,000 new visas annually. To help recruit talent, Amazon, with 3,871 new H-1B visas, had the most approved new petitions in 2024, according to data compiled by the nonpartisan organization National Foundation for American Policy. Google had 1,058 approved applications, and Tesla had 742, the data showed. The Post is owned by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, which is where I'm reading this article. Ramaswamy said in an X post on Thursday that the reason technology companies hire foreign-born engineers is because American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, drawing criticism from notable pro-Trump personalities. Let's keep it absolutely real. People like Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, and many other immigrants that come to America have this impression that Americans are lazy, that we're stupid, that we're fat, that we're uncultured, that we don't know the world. They literally hate us to some degree. They hate us to some degree because, let's keep it real, outside of America, other people think this about us. And they think that we have no history, no culture, et cetera, even though literally the world culture is us, specifically Black Americans. But let's make it more broad and paint it with red, white, and blue stripes and say America. America basically runs the world culture, but by and large, people out here, outside of America, are envious of us, jealous of us as Americans, and also think at the same time that Americans have it so easy, they're so lazy. How can you be born in America and not have a Rolls Royce? How can you be born in America and not have a mansion? You have all this opportunity. Meanwhile, while I'm living in India in my dirt mud house, shitting in the streets, all that sort of stuff, I would die to have the opportunities Americans have. Same thing with Elon Musk as well, coming from dirty ass, dingy ass South Africa. A lot of immigrants on Americans. And you know what? We have to put an end to that. I've always said this. If you come to America and anti-Black, your ass should be deported. But also if you come to America and disrespect us as a people, as a culture, and stuff like that, and think just because we're born here, we're supposed to be more successful than other people. I had an immigrant mother, and my immigrant mother used to say stuff in the house like, these niggas is lazy, or Americans are stupid, and all that sort of stuff. And partially she's right. Partially, we are pretty ignorant. I mean, look at who we just elected to represent us on the world stage. A rapist, a criminal, a man who took top secret documents and hid them in his toilet. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, we are pretty stupid at times. But on the other hand, we're still the most innovative people, most culturally relevant people. We've done the most to fight against the evils of Nazism and fascism as well. So there's a lot to be proud of as an American. And people like Ramaswamy and Elon Musk can suck my big fat American cock for hating on our country and our culture. You get me? Anyway, Brendan Dilley, a pro-Trump podcaster, shot back at Ramaswamy's post. I always love when these tech bros flat out tell you that they have zero understanding of American culture and then have the gall to tell you that you are the problem with America, he wrote. Loomer, who lost 1.4 million followers on X, unleashed a slew of racist posts falsely describing Indians as third world invaders with low IQs and calling the clash a civil war between Trump's far-right base and the tech bros that have come to support his upcoming administration. I have to ask people like Laura Loomer, if the Indians are so low IQ, if they're so uncivilized, how come they keep on running circles around the whites in the tech world and in many other fields? Come on now, this year alone, we saw an Indian lady almost run up in the White House. And I'm not talking about Kamala, because that's our 90s fine Black sister. I'm talking about Nikki Haley. And I'm talking about Vivek Ramaswamy. On the right side, the Indians are taking over and running circles around the whites. So how are the Indians low IQ? Does that make the whites low IQ? Okay. Oh, I don't know. So she also sparred with Musk over his support of the H-1B program, questioning the skills of Indian programmers at X because of glitches during a May live event on the site kicking off Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign. Loomer is trolling for attention. Ignore, Musk said on Twitter. Loomer said she hopes the feud with Silicon Valley changes Trump's views, looking forward to the inevitable divorce between President Trump and Big Tech, she said on X. Let's pray this fake Big Tech love fest with Trump ends sooner rather than later. Okay, and that's the end of that story right here. So once again, Laura Loomer is one of the worst people that's actually out there on the far right. But yeah, she actually has a point against this dirty, dirty African. This dirty African right here who disrespects Americans, disrespects our culture, disrespects our people. We should send his ass kicking back home. Send him to Joburg. Send him back to Hoots Bay, man. You need to go, I don't know, play with them niggas in a minefield in South Africa, man. Stop fucking with us, all right? Anyway, that's all I got to say about Elon Musk. Elon Musky ass. Let's go here to this migrant who came to America and hurt an American woman. So what to know about the death of a woman who was set on fire in a New York City subway train by this illegal migrant, I heard he's illegal. I don't know. I don't know for a fact. I haven't read this article before, so I don't know exactly what's happening here. But this is an interesting story. And I know people on this channel know that Simon Hill Keeps It Trail is a far-right communist who wants to put y'all in the gulags. But let's keep it real. I'm going to be fair and balanced. I'm going to be fair and balanced in my reporting of the news. So New York City officials are using forensics and video surveillance to identify the woman who burned to death on a subway car in Brooklyn, while the man accused of lighting her on fire was indicted by a grand jury on state charges, prosecutors announced Friday. Sebastian Zapata, 33, is accused of setting the woman's clothing ablaze aboard a stopped train at the Coney Island Stillwell Avenue station on Sunday morning. He has been indicted on murder and arson charges, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez said after a brief court hearing on Friday. The top charge carries a maximum sentence of life in prison without parole, he added. Attorneys for Zapata, who federal immigration officials said is a Guatemalan citizen who entered the U.S. illegally, declined to comment. New York City Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch on Sunday described the case as one of the most depraved crimes one person could possibly commit against another human being. Here's the latest in the case. What do we know about the suspect? Zapata was taken into custody on Sunday, hours after police disseminated images of a suspect in the woman's death. Police said 3 high schoolers called 911 after recognizing the person in the image, and officers found him on another subway train in the same gray hoodie, wool hat, paint-splattered pants, and tan boots. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement spokesman Jeff Carter said Zapata is a Guatemalan citizen who entered the U.S. illegally after previously being deported in 2018. It is unclear when and where he re-entered the U.S., Carter said. All right. At an arraignment in Brooklyn criminal court earlier in the week, a prosecutor alleged Zapata approached the woman on the train and set her clothing on fire. He waved a shirt at her to fan the fire, causing her to become engulfed in flames, then sat on a bench and watched, prosecutor Ari Rottenberg said during the Tuesday court appearance. The prosecutor said Zapata claimed he didn't know what happened, noting that he consumes alcohol. But he alleged that Zapata identified himself in images of the attack to investigators. Zapata hasn't yet entered a plea in the case. His indictment will be unsealed in January, Gonzalez said. A Brooklyn address for Zapata released by police matches the service center for Samaritan Daytop Village, which provides housing and substance abuse support. The organization did not respond to a request for comment. All right. Zark81 says, I feel safer in Iraq than in New York City. Facts. I mean, America is the most dangerous country in the world. I mean, we have rampant gun violence and also, wild, crazy people running around in the streets. So what do we know about the victim? As of Friday, police have only described the victim as a woman. Gonzalez said officials were making progress on identifying her through fingerprints, DNA, and video surveillance of her movements before the attack. Just because someone appears to have been living in this situation of homelessness does not mean that there's not going to be family devastated by the tragic way she lost her life, he said. Tisch said Sunday that the victim was in a seated position at the end of the train car when she was set on fire. NYPD Transit Chief Joseph Galota said police do not believe the suspect and the victim knew each other and they did not interact before or during the incident. On Thursday, Reverend Kevin McCall led community leaders in a prayer vigil for the victim at the Coney Island station. Continuing here, what kind of police presence is there on the subway? Police patrol the New York City subways, and there is a vast network of cameras and stations in all subway cars. But the sheer size of the subway system, 472 stations with multiple entry points and millions of riders each day, makes policing it logistically difficult. On Sunday, officers at the station, but were patrolling a different platform. They responded after seeing and smelling smoke coming from the fire. New York Governor Kathy Hochul earlier this year directed members of the state's National Guard to assist with random bag checks at certain stations. Is crime up on the subways? Violent incidents on the subway and in stations often put people on edge, partly because many New Yorkers take the train multiple times a day and often have their own experiences with uncomfortable interactions in the system. Broadly, crime is down in the city transit system this year compared to the same period in 2023. Data compiled by the Metropolitan Transportation Authority shows a 6% decline in what the agency calls major felonies between January and November of this year and 2023. At the same time, murders in the transit system are up, with 9 killings this year through November compared to 5 during the same time frame last year. High-profile incidents on the train often attract national attention and further unnerve passengers. Daniel Penny, a military veteran who placed an agitated subway rider in a chokehold, was acquitted of homicide this month. In September, two bystanders and an officer were hit when police opened fire on a man holding a knife in front of a train. When you have these incidents, it overshadows the success and it plays on the psyche of New Yorkers, said New York City Mayor Eric Adams in a Monday interview on PIX11, noting that many high-profile incidents in the transit system involve people with mental health issues. And that's the end of the article here. Listen, I got to say this. I am disgusted by what this Guatemalan immigrant did. This guy should be buried under the jail. It's absolutely horrific. He might have suffered from alcohol abuse, drug abuse, poverty, homelessness, that sort of stuff. Still no excuse to commit a heinous crime like that on a random woman. Absolutely sad to hear this happened. But you know what? Let's keep it real. This story is going to get a lot more attention than the white men every single day who murder their wives, their kids, and then themselves. This story is going to get way more attention than all the mass shootings that happen in black communities all across America. This story is going to get more attention than the violence we Americans commit to each other. Now, once again, I'm not going to excuse this. And we do have a broken immigration system, not to sound cliche. But this story is hyperbolized. It's over the top. Crime generally is down on the New York subways. And generally, the amount of violent crime that's happening in America is generally going down from my last reading of the statistics. But we live in this age where everybody wants clicks, everybody wants attention, everybody wants to try to put a story in your face. And so these very heinous and broad day public crimes are going to get a lot more attention. Go into the comments. Zark81 says no one could stop immigrants, not even Mr. Trump. Facts. He didn't even want to stop immigrants. He didn't build the wall. More people were still crossing the border illegally under Trump's administration. He still allowed H-1B visas to come in and take American jobs and all that sort of stuff. So Trump is just, full of BS. And the immigration thing for America is basically its bedrock. So I actually got to cut this live stream short. We only read about, 3 stories today. And that's cool. I actually got to go get ready for this English class I got to do. But I'm going to give a shout out to everybody who came in. Zark81, BK and Avery Adams, and Soma Guillaume. Thanks for tuning in. Watch this on the playback. Support this channel. Subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. If you have an article you want me to read, put it in the comments. I'll try to get to it. And peace.